What's up, Go enthusiasts? It's been a while, but welcome back. And we're watching another game by Ru Naiwei against Li Cheng-ho. These two played a bunch of games, and they were always very interesting games. Let's dive right in. Ru Naiwei played white in this one, and Li Cheng-ho played black. Actually, when I first reviewed this game, I didn't know who was who, and then I saw this variation, and then I knew who was who. Of course, Li Cheng-ho is the type of player who would play push on the third line and to jump on the third line. And Ru Naiwei is the type of player who would believe in the shoulder hit and believe in the power. Yeah, they're already doing the trade of territory for influence. Of course they are. Ru Naiwei loves to take this kind of influence and use it to attack, and Li Cheng-ho just loves those points. Look at how many points are in the upper right corner already. Wow, it's move 13. Anyway, the game goes on. Obviously, it's just an opening. It's nothing particularly special. Actually, it surprised me a bit that this upper right corner was fine for black, because I personally am not really a believer in the territory, but the AI backs up Li Cheng-ho here, so nothing to complain about, although me personally, I complained about it when I reviewed it humanly. I think the reason why is that like the black corner is so many points. It really is. It's just it's kind of hard for white to match that with whatever they have in the center. Anyway, they're continuing. These Joseki, I mean, maybe we wouldn't see them exactly played like this, like these days. Then this one is more popular when the approach is high here. And obviously, we tend to like this Joseki since we can attack this one stone that's out here. And otherwise, it's pretty much a basic 3-3 variation. So I mean, maybe we can argue some very, very small inaccuracy by black there to take the right side, but it's nothing that would really matter. And here they start their first fight. So white pincered, black pincered, or well, black approached, white pincered, and then black did this, and white jumped to make the pincer fight, the full pincer fight that we usually see here. I thought it was pretty interesting that black chose to jump instead of going into the corner. I would normally just go into the corner here as black, and Li Cheng-ho is a territorial player, so I really expected it of him that he would be the kind of guy who just takes the 3-3, saves the group, saves the other group, move on with life. But Li Cheng-ho chose to jump, and I think that's exactly because he couldn't help but really believe in the weakness of both of the white two-stone groups. I mean, this and this are both in danger. So white chose to save her group on the bottom side, and then black decided to go to the 3-3 anyway. But black, I think he was satisfied regardless with this exchange to jump out and force white to save. Normally I would expect that to be a good exchange for white, because white's group is weaker than black's, and black gets strength, white gets strength, then white's strength matters more. And white also got more territory than black from that exchange. So normally I would expect that kind of exchange is definitely going to be good for white. But I think Li Cheng-ho did that on purpose, and he thought that exchange is good for black, because he thought that the fight that continues is going to be about the strength of these white two stones on the left center. And when white continues, now white has to run it out something like this. And the fact that black has this sort of lingering strength means that these will just be a weakness forever. So black didn't actually do anything about that right now. He didn't save his stone on the left side. He thought it's still invadable in the corner. It's still possible to save over here. And he really wanted to go and harass this bottom side. White is still not strong there. But this, I thought was really interesting, because Li Cheng-ho tends to leave positions with more territory, and this time he left positions with more weaknesses. And he's going to use that to try to break the territory back right away, and to break the territory back on the left side later. It's setting up to be a really interesting game. White plays here. So now it's setting up to be an even more interesting game, because white has decided to make what is pretty much classically known as a bad exchange. I mean, this is, in general, just bad for white to do. But she did it on purpose here because she wanted to defend her own group on the bottom side. And she thought, well, if I'm going to defend this, right? I mean, she could have just defended it immediately, but then there would be no threat on the right side, nothing to do. And so black could easily save his group on the bottom, and white would just be sort of slow and small. So by exchanging this first and then defending, you know, if she wouldn't defend ever, then this cut is really annoying. Black will kill the white corner. Now when she defends, she has a credible threat that she's going to both put pressure on the right side and put pressure on this one stone. So Li Cheng-ho has to do something about that. He chooses to run out his one stone in a way that sort of like casually adds pressure to the right side. Maybe we'll look to save both at the same time. And Ru Naiwei goes aggressive again. She always is aggressive. She plays attach and crosscut here. And she was hoping to gain power one more time, where if black just responds super passively here, then white can try to gain strength with these stones and really punch the black group that she just tried to start attacking. So this is actually really difficult to answer. I really like the way that Ryunabe played this. I wouldn't have thought of it. I wouldn't have thought to start by exchanging this bad exchange and then to answer, and then to use that bad exchange not directly, but with even more like twists and churns and asking black where exactly they want to commit. Eventually, Li Ching-ho is just like, all right, I'm going to commit inside. I'm going to get as much strength as I can to save the part that you were trying to beat up, and white can just capture that one stone. And white gets a really, really pleasant position on the right side. Obviously, this black group is really small, although white has a really silly-looking exchange now. This white stone is obviously nowhere near as useful as that black stone, which controls so much of this side. The black shape is only a few points. White is so strong here, white is so strong there. It's not a bad result for white by any means, and I think it's in fact actively kind of good. So that was a really, really cool sequence, a really cool fight by both players. But of course, the game is nowhere near over. It's a cool fight that ends in a position where there's still some interesting, potential going on there later. And the white group is still a little weak, and this white group is still a little weak. And Li Ching-ho won't chase any of them directly. Of course, he never does. He loves to play by territory. I mean, for me personally, if I was going to play by territory here, I would think like defending the left side group is so natural. But Li Ching-ho thinks taking the territory in the corner is so natural because it gives white this weak group, and he's already got territory, and he can get the territory later there whenever he wants. So it poses a real difficult position for Ryunabe again. She just chooses to take control of the corner in the upper left as best she can, try to show that she takes control of that area, which seemed to be important. But Li Ching-ho can exchange that and then punish. So he's really trying to beat up these original two stones. This is what happens actually in modern day. When people play this slide, it's really common that people will ignore, and then start dying with their stones. AI approves, actually, from white's perspective. AI thinks this is the right thing to do. And AI also kind of approves from black's perspective. I mean, this is also reasonable from black to really try to target these stones and show that you're getting something. So at this point, Li Ching-ho could have just Haned and naturally tried to take these stones and take pressure, but he did something pretty interesting by peeping first. And then when Ryunabe answered like this, then he decided to Hane. And I'm going to be honest, I think this is just wrong. I don't think this is right. Something went wrong in Li Ching-ho's plan here. He was clearly intending for this to work out a lot better than it did, like tactically. But when Ryunabe plays here, his plan was like tactically he wants to save the bottom side with this peeping stone. So what he's going to do is he's going to push and save that peep and then cut and peep here as well and save these stones. White's going to run like that. And he can save his own group on the bottom. So that was the plan. I think that's why originally he peeped, is he was thinking like, oh, I'm going to get some space for myself. Problem is, the plan does not actually like gain initiative. It just gains territory down at the bottom. And while he does that, Ryunabe got to play all of her stones out and put enough pressure down that she can net these two stones in the center. So she exchanges this peep first, which is forcing, and then plays this attach. This is a really great move, aiming at the Atari, obviously, and then also aiming at finishing off the net really cleanly. So now Li Ching-ho is in trouble. He's worse. The position is not good for black because black, although he managed to save this and he did manage to kill that, he's also given up so much power to white. White managed to capture these two stones and become so strong. Even white still has this cut here that's annoying, so black decided to play a move in the center. If black wouldn't play a move in the center, then white would have so much control over the center herself, right? I mean, she's so strong here. She has this cut later. She would actually like be able to start making a moyo. That's what this move is built to prevent. But you can see that after this, black basically traded away the left side for his attack on these two stones, and he hasn't really gotten enough out of that. So just that much versus potentially that much. And white also being strong here. White is doing well in this game. So what went wrong here? I think it was originally this peep. And then after that, when we're doing this fighting, at some point here, the AI was saying like you can continue to play on the outside first, and allow white to try to take it, and just make sure you don't get netted. And there was some like super sharp sequence that you could do like outside. Maybe it was back here. I don't remember exactly, to be honest. But the pros, they don't know that kind of thing either. They don't know exactly the super sharpest thing they can do. They're just looking for what they can control, the variations which they see the clean end results of, and they're like, that's good, that's bad, that's good, that's bad. And obviously some of the end results are like continued fighting, but a lot of the time they look for this type of variation. This ended so cleanly, right, where it's very solid that these two stones are dead, very solid that these stones on the bottom side are dead. It's much more natural in human games to arrive at a result where everybody is solid, but one side is better, than to do the AI thing and arrive at results where nobody is solid and it seems to be equal according to the AI. It's much harder to control that way, and harder to understand exactly what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, most of the time when you play at the 9p level, you're getting wrecked. You have to know what you're doing, or else the opponent will know what they're doing and beat you up, right? So Rui and I played this really well. I think that this original peep was like a little bit misguided. It made it difficult for black to decide what to commit to afterwards. He couldn't easily commit to saving this side or to playing in the center, and he sort of had split mind, split intention, and it caused him to eventually choose a variation which was just not quite efficient enough. So Li Jingho has surrendered the lead to Rui Naiwei. He is so good at coming back in the endgame. So this game is nowhere near over, not even close to over. In fact, Rui Naiwei makes a mistake on the very next move to play here. This move is really reasonable, actually. It looks good because there's a black peep here that black just set up by playing like this. And that peep is going to be really strong if, black gets a little bit of extra strength, which he totally can do by like attaching here. Oh, sorry about that. Alert. I don't know if you could hear it. Anyway, she answers like this, and the reason why this is wrong is not because she answered, the direction is correct, but it's really the way that she answered. It didn't add very much control over the area which she should have wanted to control, which is the weaker part. I mean, it's the part where there could be territory, basically. She added a lot of control to the area where her shape was thinner and where black was very thick, but the problem is that she will never be able to attack this black bottom left. I mean, that is so strong, it is finished territory. That's done. There's nothing really to do there. So getting strength right next to it is kind of ineffective. It would have been better for her to play like an attach on the other side, or even the AI suggestion is to just fully jump over here. This is quite scary, but the AI has some crazy variation that I read to handle the peep and cut and stuff. Anyway, the jump is too hard. That's inhuman, but it is pretty human to just play the attach on the other side rather than the bump here, which would have taken care of her less well-controlled portion of the moyo that she has on the left side. Anyway, after that, Li Jingho decides, okay, well, you're going to control that so much, so I can go in and invade the upper left corner. So he just pushes and plays a knight's move. He's just sliding in and turning and getting enough space to be very, very obviously alive in the upper left here. And he gave white this influence because, what is white going to do with it? There's not that much space. So white decided, I'm not going to build that too much right now. I'm not going to try. It wouldn't be big enough. Instead, she's going to take care of the upper right, basically trying to take control of the upper right outside of the area and at the same time look towards the inside of the upper right. Actually, it was a little too much to go for again, and black is really turning the game back in his favor here. This Atari is so pleasant from Rui Naiwei. This is what she really wanted. She wanted this Atari, and then for black to answer, to still want to be able to move into the center, and then to still have this cut in the corner. And so she's going to try to use that cut right away by attaching and cutting and Atarying, and she extends into the corner, trying to save a group there. It feels really good from the white perspective. The problem is that black has this hane, and it would feel really bad to tiger and leave the bad shape, or to connect and leave a pretty bad shape. And so what she does is she plays the block, hoping to just make a living shape here. And if she can start attacking this outside group and save the corner, then she can maybe start attacking the black top outside group. This could all be very good. The problem is that black will obviously cut, and it makes a ko. If black wins this ko, black could capture the entire corner, save everything. If white wins this ko, white could start thinking about capturing the entire corner and saving everything. But it's a stage ko. It's a pretty complicated ko. Because even if white wins this ko, it's still going to be ko. So because of that, Li Ching-ho decides he's not going to try to fight the ko directly, but just capture the corner first, and then he'll fight the ko for the strength of the top side without concerning the corner. This is actually a mistake. And it's a pretty obvious mistake when I think about it, but it wouldn't really occur to me in the game if I were playing to be like really stringent, really strict about this. But if black just like peeps here and takes this and then says, I ignore everything, maybe white will like push here and black says, I ignore you, then this is way better for black than winning the ko after spending a move in the corner. Because you remember, black played a move on this like flashing 105 in the variation, and then he's still going to try to win the ko after that. But if black does win the ko, that played move at 105 is like literally just a pass. So by playing this move and like accepting the stage ko but still trying to win it later, what black is really doing is saying, I'm going to give you an entire extra move for your ko threat validation. It's just that I can answer more ko threats. But the size of the ko threat is really rarely, like even if you play a really big ko threat, it's rarely so much value that it can't be made up by just having an entire extra move compared to a pass, right? So this one, to accept the stage ko, to sort of do this more passive way of ko fighting, it actually like lost a move in a really valuable way, in a considerable way, compared to playing the ko directly. And so in the game he uses this peep threat afterwards, and white uses some threat over here. That would also be big, right? White could have used that as their ko threat when black tries to win the ko directly. But again, it's something tradable away. It's not like an unforgivable thing for white to allow. Okay, then black plays a relatively modest ko threat on the left side there, trying to make some outside pressure at the same time as it makes a ko threat. And same thing with that hane. Black is thinking like, these moves are ko threats, but they aren't really losing very much. And then finally, white plays this ko threat, the descend, threatening to kill the black group on the bottom side. Li Ching-ho realizes that is not really a very serious ko threat. Because after black wins the ko, and white says, okay, then I properly kill your group on the bottom side, yeah, white gets all that territory, but it's really not that big of a swing for two moves, for two full moves in the ko battle, to spend just capturing these stones. Ultimately, that's how many stones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 stones is 14 points. A few more points that black could have had, maybe like 3. And a few more points that white has underneath those stones, maybe another 3, 4. Even white secures a few points that might have been their no, it was probably white's endgame anyway. So ultimately, this is 20 points, 22 points, something like that. For two moves, that's just nowhere near worth enough. It might not even be bigger than just average middle game moves. In fact, I don't think that it is. So white could have just played like random moves in the center, and I think that would have been better than trying to kill this group. But Ru Naiwei is an attacker. She likes killing groups, even when maybe she shouldn't like killing that group so much. So the position has sort of clarified here. Even if white captures back, black plans to connect. So all of that top side, this is now black's territory. And all of the bottom side, that is now white's territory. So this, again, the pro-human players, they like to read for these clear variations where each side's territory is very clear. And we've resolved into, again, a slightly positive situation for white. Although I don't really like the way that white played this, black pretty much did lose a full move when he played that move on the inside, not going for the ko directly, but playing as a stage ko. And so ever since he played that very, very passive move to start this ko fight right here, black has been in big trouble, and once again searching his way back. So white plays this jump. White is trying to take a clean control of this game, show I have the territory, look at my moyo, it's so big on the left side. And black is playing a hane and hoping to reduce it and trying to attack this group on the right. again, Lee Ching-ho can come back in any endgame. The game is nowhere near over. Ryunai has just sort of reestablished her lead. So when Lee Ching-ho attacks, she actually decided to finish this position on the left side. So that makes that very, very solidly her territory. It's even her influence into the center. That means it's going to be much easier for her to save those 4 stones in the upper right corner and these 5 stones on the right side. But it does give black an entire extra move to attack them, which he gleefully takes, plays this diagonal. It's much more natural to me to play the diagonal on the second line, so you can poke away the eye, same as you can on the fourth line, but you restrict the white movement to the side. Of course, this one was thinking about restricting the white movement to the center, but since there's some squeezing action still happening on the bottom right, and also since the territory is just big when white tries to save like that, it doesn't feel like it's very powerful. Well, black tries to make it powerful. Lee Ching-ho tries to prove that this fourth line is valuable by attacking these 4 stones. And basically this is the last fight. This is the last task that Ryunai has to do. Is as long as he does not manage to secure big box, as long as Lee Ching-ho doesn't get all the box that he wants here, Ryunai is going to be fine. She has enough points. So what she does is she goes in and reduces. She just walks up towards the edge of the box and says, I'm coming in, I'm going to reduce. And the problem is that that's sort of a split shape from her group on the right side. So Lee Ching-ho gets one last attack. He's going to cut that off, and he's going to attack the top, floating stones in the center, the right side white group, all at once, and he's going to try to combine this all together and make white have a serious problem. So white, first of all, just splits the shape through the center and then just jumps. She's just going to try to take care of this, nice, calm, patient, make it all work. She plays this tiger's mouth to connect the things together, cuts and connects here to make sure that she has some outside pressure. Black obviously has to save his group on the bottom right. And Ryunai just calmly plays the manual Panuki. I used to disrespect the manual Panuki more than I was supposed to be honest. I don't know. I was doing that even while I had this YouTube channel. I disrespected the manual Panuki. The manual Panuki, I'm still not a big fan. This is like a false eye shave that white has spent their full turn moving, but it's a bit better than getting peeped if you have to connect and having to make the empty triangle shape in Gote. At least this one has a lot of potential to make further eyes and to make further movement against the 2 stones of black to cut those off. This is a very counterattack heavy move and also make new eye space heavy move. And it also goes into the black territory. So this can definitely work as an effective defense. Lee Ching-ho is going to try to punish it. He's going to try to say, that's too much, Ryunai. You cannot go that deep and really save that group. He plays the knight's move. He tries to surround the white group on the top side. This is quite nerve-wracking. I would feel a lot of pressure trying to run this group out. It doesn't exactly seem like you have a clear method to escape. She plays this attach. This is a really nice move. A really, really nice move by Ryunai. Now when black turns in the center, she can extend. Her point is that this whole black group in the bottom right, that one now is the one that's in trouble, that cannot escape. And it only has the one eye by capturing the 3 stones. It doesn't have its second eye yet. So it's actually really possible to try to kill that group if black would ignore this from now. Black has to spend some kind of move. He chooses to peep here and then to capture. So he was thinking no matter what, he's got to capture these 3 stones. And when he does that, even if white plays the diagonal, he can live by making an eye on the first line and the eye underneath the 3 stones. So then he was thinking, all right, all I need to do is play some sente move on the outside and then to capture the 3 stones. But I think he chose the wrong sente. I think it would have been a lot better for black if black tried to get it from this side. It's less obviously sente now. White can try to kill, but then black could try to kill back, and I think black would be fine in the liberty race. And then white could try to prevent that kill by playing on the outside. So it's quite a bit more messy to play on the outside here than to do what he did. But this peep and then coming back to capture, it gives white the time to play this tiger's mouth, and white is so close to connected. I mean, it looks like white just is connected out, like that this one space jump should be totally fine. But there's still a wedge. There's still a little tiny bit of hope left that black will play a peep here, play a wedge, make a cut on this side, and then kill the white center. It's so dangerous. But Li Ching-ho has to do it, because right now he's behind by a lot of points. White has broken all the territory. White did all the greediest stuff. White has even squeezed the right side group and gotten an endgame for free on the right side. So black has to do something. He plays Atari here. This is Li Ching-ho's class. I really, really like this move. I wouldn't have thought to play this. I would either like go for it or peep first. Like I wouldn't think to prepare it by playing an Atari here. What he's asking is, what exactly should white respond with? And it's quite a difficult question because Ruinaiwe gets it wrong. She plays here. The natural thing to do is definitely to capture. Everybody knows that you should capture, and that these are just terrible shape moves by black. They're just awful shape moves. Awful shape moves that are in exactly the right place to look like they're surrounding this white group if black continues with the cut. Now, the AI said white can push and cut here and like exchange some jump, and somehow white can save this. But Ruinaiwe couldn't read that out. I can't read that out even after I see the AI say it. So this was not comfortable. That was not fun for Ruinaiwe. So instead of allowing those couple forcing moves, she plays here, saying this gives me a route with these stones on the right side. The problem is it also gives her bad shape. It means she has to extend here, and the comparison, the difference is now black has some actual continued threats towards the left side here that he definitely didn't have before. He still has some power as well in a valuable area. So this group is still in danger. And what does Li Ching-ho do about that? Does he bite it again? Does he tickle it? He tickles it. He says, hey, what if you just answered me one more time? Don't you want to cut here? Look, you can net my stone. Don't you want to net my stone? If Ruinaiwe would net this stone, Li Ching-ho would definitely try to make a serious fight against these stones on the right side. So Ruinaiwe is just fed up with this. I mean, she's just like, come on, man. You already got a little bit in the center. You tickled me. You made me give up a little bit of my shape. I'm not going to give up again. I'm just going to push through and save the damn group. So this saves that group quite dynamically. She's going to be able to push through things, but it allows black to push through here, split the shape, and really start to establish a huge territory on the top side that, I mean, honestly, he didn't really deserve out of the amount of weakness that Ruinaiwe had over here. It didn't feel like he deserved that. Ruinaiwe just could not handle the endless amount of tickling. So, I mean, this is a really, really instructive attack by Li Ching-ho here. He could have done something super scary, and it wouldn't have worked. So what he did is he tickled instead. He used it from the outside to just menace, sort of stare down the opponent. He was known as the Stone Buddha, right? I'm sure he had a faceless expression, as he always did when he played this move. And Ruinaiwe has no idea whether he's read everything out and he knows that he's going to kill her or not. It's so hard to answer these things. So eventually she just does not. And this also can make sense because, like, it's not like these stones in the center are terrible. They're valuable. The problem is that what black got is obviously more value when it comes to territory. But white was planning on having all that as territory, and black has broken it and making it his. So the game, unfortunately, is reversed again. Unfortunately for Ruinaiwe, it is back to nearly even. She only has a very small lead going into the endgame, when before, if she had just made this saving method work, and it was so close to working, it was so pretty on the right side, it was looking so good, if she just finished that off, then white would have had a huge lead. Instead, we go into this endgame with black having some cente reductions towards the left side. Somehow this has gone down to like 4th line territory. So that's crazy. White only gets a few points in the center as compensation for black getting all that and cente in 4th line territory. What the heck? How is that fair? Oh well, game goes on, and we start playing an endgame. So black plays this Hane, and white plays the outside. So black had red. The reason why he played that Hane is he had red. Oh, then I can Tiger's Mouth. That's forcing. White needs to answer. And then I can extend here. So obviously if black can run out through the center, then this white group will get weak again. So white wants to split that and split it on the outside, but somehow she suddenly stopped. Why? Because black will be able to cut through in the center. So first she did some endgame things, forced these things, but eventually she knew I have to come through, split, save my own group, make that super strong, get some potential territory over here, and give up another chunk of territory to black in the center. Fortunately, she doesn't have to give up that much because she has this throw-in and this Atari. Black can save, but white can capture those 2 stones, so chooses to do so. And black tanukis. So that was white's endgame in Gote, resource to be able to break the top side. It was very valuable to capture some stones, get a couple points for herself, and also reduce so many black points, make some black cuts, lots of black threats. But this, of course, was also very valuable to be able to play here in Sente for black. Very, very, very pleasant. Of course, Li Cheng-ho's endgame is so clean. He just exchanges this one time. I think that's just for no, you know what that is for? Oh man, that is insane. Now that I think about it, I didn't even notice this until just now. But the reason why he exchanges that is because locally, what white would do if he didn't do anything, let's say he just played that tiger's mouth that he does after this first, white would do this one, and then black would have one co-threat, because if he plays here, then white would do that, and if he does that, which is what he would actually do, white would solidly connect. But by exchanging this first, at this timing, white has no way to do anything other than this, and now, when white plays the move locally, after he does that, if white plays this block, then he has this co-threat and this co-threat, so it's an additional co-threat, and if white just captures there, then black again will have the same couple co-threats for reduction, although it's a bit smaller. So that exchange by itself gains one co-threat for black just to exchange it. That's why he did it in Sente. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I didn't ask AI about that. I just thought of it now, but I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. It's a very, very strong endgame sequence. Anyway, they're playing a really high-level endgame. It's a half-point endgame. White seems to be leading. And white plays this jump. So white is outlining some potential territory for herself in the center, and these 3 stones are under threat. So what does black do about that? Of course, does not answer. Splits. Why would you split? Because you want to take care of your own territory and that territory and that. You don't want to ever hard commit to I'm being defensive in the endgame. You want to be flexibly aiming at all of the areas of major territory and always making sure that your opponent can't gain points against you, exploit you in some way over something that you didn't really have to defend at all. So he's being very flexible with those 3 stones. It's very good. White plays this peep just to reduce the points on the right side now that black has already played that descend and knows that he can capture on the inside. And then white chooses to push through here. And that was actually a mistake by white, believe it or not, because when black Hane is here, black is threatening to save those 3 stones again. And it's really annoying that white cannot play the tiger, or black could save those 3 stones and lose like everything that he's doing. And make white lose everything that she's doing and continue to do everything that he's doing. White does that anyway, because the tiger is just the best shape here. She has to do that. And she's like, well, at least I can capture this stone. And black saves that and forces white to capture. But ultimately, black managed to save those stones in Sente and just give white the good shape, not really extra points for white. It's only just better shape. That's really not enough, to be honest. So black is reversing this endgame. I mean, black is definitely on his way to a classic Li Cheng-ho half-point win from a game he was losing the entire game. But suddenly he connects here. And then white captures, and then the game is over. This is a really funny ending, and this doesn't happen that often in pro play, but it does happen. The game is really good other than this, but what happened here is that they're in a half-point endgame, it's really, really, really tight, and Li Cheng-ho is spending all of his time thinking about all the other things going on. He's doing all these high-level calculations, like what I showed for the co-threat over there, and trying to do everything exactly precise to less than half-point standard, right? Because if you do something a 1/12 of a point better than another way, then you could win the game off of it in this type of game. So Li Cheng-ho is doing all that preparation, and what his brain says is, all right, at the end of this thinking, I'm just going to go back and connect. So what he does is, probably at the last bit of his time, he's like, all right, it's time to go back and connect. And then he connects the wrong thing. This happens to pro players more often than you'd think. And the only reason why this happens is because this move has the same meaning as this move to a pro. Both ways, pros are thinking, I connect. I answer the cut, right? But this cut was not active, and that cut was active, and we don't think like that. That's not the meaning of the move. The meaning of the move is protect the cut. We aren't thinking that cut is active, so I protect it. So, I mean, obviously, if you thought about it at all, you would play the right move. Li Ching-ho knew the right move was to connect this one and then kill all the points inside and get all the territory. But he wasn't thinking about what move he was playing. He was just thinking about the meaning of the move he was playing, and this has the same meaning as the other one. So in time trouble, this happens. This is, I think, one of the reasons why people advocate for Fisher rather than Byoyomi, is that Byoyomi is really the culprit here that causes this kind of time trouble stupidity. Only in Byoyomi do you spend your whole time thinking about not the right move that you're going to play, and then you play the move that you're going to play, and then that's how this kind of horrific blunder happens. Obviously, what was supposed to happen is that black would connect here, and then white was thinking that she was going to cut here, which means after black answers somehow, then she can get that that Hane in Sente. It's an Atari now, and that's all that she wanted to settle the endgame here. That was a normal sequence, and from here, the endgame is super close, but I think Li Ching-ho might be able to win if he finds all the best moves, but maybe not. I don't know exactly. It's super close, but the main difference, obviously, is that black has all these as points, and in the game, black does not have all those as points when white captures like this. Those are no longer black's points. So that's like 10 points or something that he lost, so he just resigns on the spot. Yeah, it's crazy. It's pretty unfortunate, really, that this kind of thing can happen. But the game itself is still really cool, so I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time. Toodaloo.